And let's go. Hey, folks, I'm back, and I have brought. Oh wait, are you Deadpoolzilla or Mr.
I'm back in the
Multiverse here?
multiverse.
All right, Mr. Multiverse has joined me, and we are talking. I really should have clarified that before we started recording. Um, let's see. We have reunited for a new episode. We're going to be talking about She-Ra season 5. And my apologies, I meant to get this done like the week after it premiered on Netflix, but I had some technical issues with Skype that I could not figure out for the longest time until this past week. So that's all done with, and we can get started and talking about it. I hope this isn't too late, but I think we're still kind of in the glow of talking about She-Ra season 5. So I don't think it's too bad. So, hey, that went pretty well, I thought.
Yeah,
And we're going to be talking about it.
yeah, I thought it was pretty well. It was a hell of a lot better than Voltron final season.
Correct.
I don't know if
yes.
you saw the final season of Voltron, but oh my god, that shit the bed hard.
I did watch Voltron, and I don't know, maybe we should have this discussion in future. But I don't hate the last season as much as everyone else does. My biggest problem is obviously what they call the queer baiting with the relationship between Shiro and Adam. They completely fucked that up. That was like
and the blatant
bad.
gay baiting with Keith and Lance.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. That was also pretty bad. But,
This did everything right that Voltron should have done in their final season. Like, this looked at Voltron and went, "We're gonna do that."
I'm proud of the studio for that. They have obviously taken the right lessons from a previous piece and applied it to a new one, because this is probably the most gay friendly series I've seen probably ever. I mean, it easily challenges Steven Universe on that, because there are no metaphors
like,
here.
what is it? Yeah, there's like no metaphors or whatever. Natasa, I remember, even says like, "Oh, Spinnerella's my wife," and I'm like, "Wow, they actually had the balls to say wife. Good on them."
Yeah, and there's lots of same-sex kissing, and it's just pretty much out in the open. And what I guess we're leading with this, but it's the show. What I thought was really interesting was they created a planet, a universe, a society which doesn't seem to have the problems of gender equality. It's just is. It's people are, have same-sex relationships, relationships with people of the opposite sex. People are gender neutral, and that's just part of how things are. It's not a problem on this planet, and we get to see what a planet would be without that problem, without that bigotry. I mean, it has its own forms of bigotry and social issues, but that's not one of them, and that's a really interesting way to go about it, because when you're world building like a completely new fantasy universe, you can build it the way you want, and kind of show your take on it, and that's what we get to see with this.
Absolutely, and also I know we're going to talk about it at some point, but yeah, that scene we all know. I swear to God, the entire She-Ra fandom lit up like the control room at NASA when the moon landing happened.
It did. You can tell. And I knew I don't like to rush through a show. I don't like to binge watch as fast as possible. But I knew with this show I had to do that. I just did, because I felt like I was pretty confident they were going to go there in the relationship. Just all signs to me pointed that way. I know I heard fans worried that it wouldn't, but I don't know. I just felt it, and I knew like people were going to explode either way. So it's like, okay, I gotta get this done as quick as possible, and I got it done by By the weekend? Like it premiered on Friday. I think I was able to watch the whole thing by like Sunday or Monday, which is fast for me. I got to tell you.
Yeah.
The only thing I did faster was season 2, which was like 6 episodes, and I watched that in one night.
Awesome. Yeah, this I will say that the one thing, like one of the major things about She-Ra, and I guess a lot of the animated shows for Netflix, is that they have a lot of seasons that you can binge real quick.
Yeah.
And I really do enjoy that. I really do enjoy that. I will say also that while I did love this season, I do have a little like it's a little like nitpicks here and there, but like ultimately, this was like I sat back and went, "This is how you do a cartoon in this age."
Yeah. Let's see. Let's get into. Probably should have created some sort of structure for this conversation, but let's see. Let's get into. Let's see. Let's get into first of the. What do you want to do? Characters or overall?
Okay,
story?
let's just get out of the way. Catradora canon.
Yeah. Which, to be honest, I say, hey, do you want to talk about the story or the characters? Where, to be honest, they're intertwined. You know, this story comes out of the characters, and it always did. And I think that's part of the reason why they were able to tell the story the way they wanted to, because they really wisely from the get-go did that.
I also feel like, and this is going to be a little controversial, but this is what Kylo Ren and Rey's relationship. That's what everyone fantasized Reylo to be. Catradora is like that fantasy of it. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I'm actually just thinking about what you're saying. I'm sorry.
But like,
go.
Okay, let's be honest. Reylo is awful, but like Catradora has like the same kind of themes as what people think Reylo should be, and like does them. But like, it's a hero villain romance, and they're connected, and centered around them. But when Ben Solo shows up, he didn't like. You know, it didn't feel like forced or weird or anything. And also, he didn't try to mind rape, Adora. So, there's that.
That's true. I think, we're getting into a whole different... I think after Last Jedi, I think that should have been, like, the complete, like, end of that possibility, frankly. But I just with this relationship between Catra and Adora, it's so emotional, and I enjoy a good like intense relationship between a hero and villain, and if you can like find a romantic angle that even makes things more intense and puts everything kind of on the forefront of like, oh god, you're just ramping up the tension, really. Are they going to kill each other? Are they going to screw each other? Blah blah blah. And is this going to prevent them from doing what they need to do? And that's been like a nice running theme throughout the whole show between the two. And I mentioned this before, but in early shots of Catra and Adora, shit, even in some of the promotional like screen caps that they were putting out, like I could tell like they were tight, like at the very least good friends, from what I was seeing. And when we get to the first episode, it's like, oh no, this is more than that. And this is going to play out really interesting, and everything does. This is a very getting to the story. This story, of course, starts out with the Civil War, if you want to call it that, on Etheria has been won by Glimmer and the Princesses of Power, the Princess of Ice. They won. They defeated the Horde. And that, unfortunately, results in Horde Prime finally discovering where their planet is and comes to invade for real. And he has much larger forces, kidnaps, or captures, I should say, Glimmer and Catra. And the sword's destroyed. and Dora has to kind of like find herself again with her powers, and it's a really wonderfully tense season all throughout. There's like no wasted episodes. There's no wasted potential. There's it doesn't waste 1 second of time. It's really well focused, and they even are able to keep up the humor. As tense and as dark as this season gets, they never ever forget to balance that out with a lot of good action and humor. And I don't think any characters out of the main and the main supporting characters, I don't think really got the shaft that I could see. They found a good way to spread things out a bit. So yeah, I was really impressed by the story. Well, what did you think about the overall arcing plot of the season?
I really liked it. Like you said, no episode felt wasted. I will say that even though no episode got wasted, I feel like a few characters got pushed to the side, like Madame Raz and even Kyle Rogelio and what's her name from that trio?
Oh man, I cannot remember the names of
which
those characters.
Yeah, the trio, the Horde trio. Which
the Horde trio. Not the siblings. I think Kyle and
Rogelio. Which apparently, according to Noelle Stevenson, the three of them are now in a poly relationship.
Oh, really? Okay.
Which
I always had a feeling about Kyle and Rogelio.
Yeah, they apparently, yeah. As we also mentioned, Scorpia knows that Kyle was in love with Rogelio, so.
Oh yeah, it was always obvious to me because he was always very protective of him, so protective of Kyle.
Sadly, Kyle is still a bottom.
Well, I mean, come on. Of course, but let's see, and they even were able to like show they have Hordak's clone baby thing, in a jumper or something like that. That was pretty funny. But to be honest, I don't know. I felt like their kind of like arc was kind of done, and if you dedicate more time to them, that would have taken away more time from the other characters at large. So I thought that was a good sacrifice. Madame Raz.
Sorry.
Madame Raz is. I'm sorry, but getting to your point about Madame Raz, that's a more important character, but much like characters I just mentioned, I think her function in the story was kind of wrapped up basically because she helped with the connection between Adora and her predecessor, Mara. So I don't know. I think as a guide, I think it also at the end, it does feel like Madame Raz, felt pretty satisfied that she'd gotten the job done by guiding Adora to the right place. Yeah. So,
and at least she didn't go the route.
I think at
least she didn't go the route of Yoda.
Oh yeah. I think she made her, the correct amount of time in there, and I'm repeating myself, but I think she was used pretty wisely. But yeah, because the focus is going to be obviously on, I gotta say, the reunion of Catra and Adora, and Catra coming on to the other side, happened much quicker than I expected it. I expected that to be into like the climax episodes of the season, like within the last 3 episodes or something like that. But Catra joined the team pretty early on, which I found really satisfying, because that gave the creators more time to kind of flesh that out.
Yeah.
Instead of like, oh, okay, she's good now.
Yeah. I will say that I kind of wish we didn't, like, the 2 characters I wanted her to interact with outside of Adora were Scorpia and Mermista, because, yeah, she kind of screwed over Scorpia, and, helped destroy Mermista's home, but, like, they were already mind-controlled, so I didn't feel like there was any real resolution there.
That's that's the kind of conceit of like, you know, the story. It's like, well, we can't we have these wheels in motion, we can't really break them to have these scenes. That you're right. Considering how much in the middle of the series was dedicated to Catra and Scorpia, yeah, they don't have too much at the end. And I'm actually really kind of pleasantly surprised that the relationship, you know, went the way they did. Because, you know, they could have obviously... Because, look, my feeling was the series was probably going to end with Catra and Adora reconciling. But the other option, I thought, was... they both learned to move on, and Catra is with like Scorpia. Those would, as far as I was concerned, those were the two ways this was going to pan out. So it's really interesting to see how they had kind of matured throughout this whole thing. But we don't get to see much of Mista's take on the I don't want to call them redeemed, but, you know, the former bad guys. Because
it seems like everyone's more Prime is like, I will deal with you in a minute. I am going to deal with the alien white supremacists.
I'm going to deal with this cult right here. Hordak actually has a really good arc, even though he is absent through a lot of this. And his story is essentially identifying himself as an individual, and, you know, kind of all the way up to the end where he stands against Horde Prime and sort of kills him. I actually love that moment. That's one of his best moments in the series.
Yeah. Hordak himself is like, he's been so... It's been an interesting development for him from his 80s counterpart, where he was kind of like, in the 80s counterpart, he was like the dark side of that universe.
Yeah, kind of. And he also had a boss that he got crap from. Like, you know, he was afraid of his boss, Horde Prime, who was basically a big robot fist that came out of smoke. I hated that thing. Oh, but you know, and I'll be honest, like, you know, I haven't watched every single episode of the 80s show, but I never understood that dynamic. I never understood their relationship. Like, wait, he has a boss? He has somebody he answers to? Yeah, who the hell is this guy? And this one, I think, really, the setup makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was ever the intention of the old series. Like, he was just occasionally... I always figured like he was kind of like a mentor to him, but I don't know. I had a lot... It was always a confusing part of the series to me. He was generally like a standard cartoonish bad guy in the old show. And my first thought when we first met Hordak in the series was, thank God he doesn't snort when he laughs. Like, oh, good, okay. Not snorting when he laughs. That's a good sign. Because I'm sorry, when your character snorts and laughs, that completely takes all tension and scariness out of your villain. Don't do that, writers.
You're not making me...
Unless you want me to laugh and not take your villain seriously.
Yeah, you are basically telling memers it's free real estate. Snorts in laughter.
Yeah. Your heroes or side characters can snort and laugh, not your main scary skull-faced villain. That's a no-no. It's a writing tip.
Now let me ask you a question real quick. Since we've been talking about Hordak, what did you think of his and Entrapta's relationship?
I I found it I found it refreshing. I found it interesting. It kind of made sense. It was one of those things where like, oh, I didn't think about this, but now that I think about it, it makes sense on a particular level. And it was one of those things where I went back to the old show. It's like, oh yeah, Entrapta was a bad guy in the old show, like full on bad guy. So it made a lot of sense to me that they would connect in some way. And it's funny how she brought out his humanity by being able to relate to him. It's a nice build up because you think, oh man, she's goofing around and going to make things worse, but she ended up making things better between the two of them. And she is kind of, in her opening episode, I think she straddles that line between hero and villain. I know a lot of fans love her and think she does no wrong, but she's really literally almost a villain. I think that was I think that was.
She's basically Shockwave and Peridot fused.
She is kind of Peridot if she. She's a lot like Peridot. Now that I think about it. But yeah, I just. What did you think of it? I actually enjoyed it.
Okay, it's admittedly a weird matchup. It's literally like a crack fic unfolding in front of my eyes. And it's cute and all, but like I'm with Marista at the end. I was like, okay, so we're just going to acknowledge that the former dictator's now good and bang. We're just going to wipe that under the rug, and he's going to go off and have sex with a woman who also tried to kill us. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just like, look, they could only end where they ended. I appreciate Mamista's line because it suggests like not everybody's cool with this, and we understand that as creators. I kind of take that line as a hand out to the audience, like we know. We know it has problems, so just trust us on this. We're not saying dictators are cool. So be understanding. That is one of the things. Like, I know we're not going to get a season 6. I don't know if there's going to be any follow-ups, but I'd be interested to hear where that goes, because I do imagine. Because don't forget, we also have a lot of those Horde clones.
Yeah.
That are now on Etheria, who are free, and they all look like the evil space cult guy that tried to enslave them all. What do we do? I'd be curious what they would do about that. Like, my first instinct is they would like find refuge in Entrapta's kingdom, whatever her kingdom was called, because she's a princess. She's a leader of that kingdom.
Yeah. I like to think that Wrong Hordak became like their new leader.
I don't know. Let's see. She's not a very perceptive leader. She's not a very because she's focused on what she likes to do. And kind of ignores. I don't know. She seems like a ruler that kind of ignores her people.
It is confirmed that by Noelle that she has a form of autism. She is on the spectrum.
Yeah. That makes sense. So I mean, would like Hordak become the ruler of her kingdom?
And no one would be cool with that because he was like, the last time you ruled a kingdom, you tried to enslave everyone.
Yeah, I mean, there's the danger of that just repeating, which I think is kind of, I don't know, I think that's interesting, because he is being I don't know, is he good is not completely answered for me, and I I'm fine with it not being answered by the end of the series, because frankly, that's not the focus of the show.
Well, now he's kind of odd, though.
He needed. Yeah.
But you are right. Like, it doesn't necessarily, like, okay, he defied Horde Prime, but do you think anyone's going to forget how he destroyed Selanus and also nearly broke the universe?
He also, he is also, like, responsible for, like, mass deaths. Like, there were villages, like, burned to the ground, because of his forces. And it is one of those things where we get into, like, governments and the rules of war and all that kind of stuff. Like, what is, what's considered, like, a war crime or just an act of war, which is weird when you try to separate the two, because there's not much daylight in that kind of thing. But like, I am curious, what does Etheria do about him?
Well, it's kind of interesting, because I'm going to take a little note from IDW Comics for the IDW transfers, and, like, everything, like, you could do with Hordak now, if you do by comics or movies, you just look at IDW Megatron and his whole redemption arc to becoming an Autobot. Yeah, they bring up, you butchered billions of people, and you claimed it was for, like, a good cause, and, people don't forget that. And I think it would be kind of neat, like, if Hordak is the same way, where he's like, I've got a super long road and uphill battle I gotta do to prove to everyone that I'm at least not a threat.
Yeah.
Because that's where Megatron was by the end of the IDW comics, and their first rendition was, by the end of it, he was like, no, I am going to fully acknowledge that not everyone is going to trust me anymore. I just want to prove to the point I'm not a danger to them anymore. So I think that if we have any continuation, that's where I'd like to see Hordak, where he's just trying to be like, I'm not exactly, like, I know I'm not going to get everyone saying I love you, Hordak. I just want to go out and not be shot at anymore.
Yeah. And in comparison, like, the recent Steven Universe, the Diamonds stepped down from their leadership roles, and they're doing elections, and they seem to be trying to make up for their damage, by visiting other worlds and trying to, like, do some repair work, essentially, on the worlds and the people. So I don't know. We'll get to see. Well, I mean, I don't know if we'll get to see if they do any graphic novels, or if we ever get that She-Ra movie Twitter keeps asking about. Maybe we'll get to see that.
And
yeah.
Quick.
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit.
Let's talk about Shadow Weaver real quick.
Yeah, let's talk about that Shadow Weaver. What do you got?
First off, were you pleased with her death? Because I was like, it's an interesting place to put it, because, like, Shadow Weaver essentially tormented the two people who were, like, she was a mother to, psychologically damaged and for them.
Yeah.
And especially Katra, and then she said, "You're welcome" at the end, like, good luck, good luck bad-mouthing me in therapy now, bitches.
I think she went as far as she could. I don't think, and I think this is in the text of the work. I don't think she is redeemed, because the emotional damage she left on those people is still there, and they got to work it out. She feels like she did,
as most abusive parents do.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that line was meant to convey redemption. I think she, in her mind, still is like, look, I did all this great work building you two up, making you tough, and I'm going to sacrifice myself so you can, continue on. You're welcome. I did a great job. Like never did she ever have any kind of self-realization like that. And I think part of her sacrifice is of course, they had to get these two dummies to go do what they need to do. But also, I feel like she kind of ran out of options. Like, what am I going to do? Like, I might as well sacrifice here. So yeah, I thought that ended in a pretty good place. And
again, I'd really like to see if we get some continuation. I want like Catra Nador to be like, what do we? Our mom, who essentially tore us apart, killed herself for us, and like it's very much like a real world thing of like how do you deal? Like how does a child get over their abusive parent? So.
Yeah, I that would be really, if they did any future material, that'd be a great place to hit stuff. Because, I just got done with watching Legend of Korra. And I don't know if you watched that show or not. I'm sorry, what?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I said I did. Yeah, I did.
Now I can. One of the things I found really fascinating with the show, and like, they're not abusive parents, but they weren't perfect parents, is the characters from the original series grew up, had parents, grew old, and in Aang's case, passed away, and we get to see their kids as like adults and like in their 50s, kind of talking about how they were raised and what kind of like effects that they had, and we didn't see that part. We only see the after effects. And in the case of Aang, who all Avatar fans love, and he's like a really pure great person, he still made mistakes with his kids, and they're very honest, understandable mistakes, but they were mistakes nonetheless. And it's really interesting to see that played out among his three kids, because they don't have him to consult with and work it out with. They got to kind of like deal with it themselves, which is really interesting writing. And in the case of Toph, her daughters still have her to like deal with specifically. That's really interesting stuff, and that's really believable stuff. And it'd be nice to see. I mean, this is of course theorizing for the future. Them dealing with it and them becoming a couple, because they weren't really technically. They weren't at all sisters. They weren't adopted. They were just raised in a camp with Shadow Weaver, being the head mistress or something like that. So they do, at least Adora and Catra do have each other's back as far as being a support system for that. So they're in a good place.
Yeah. Also, real quick, points to Scorpia for finding someone to help get her over Catra.
Hey, thank you for reminding me. Perfuma is awesome. I think she is an underrated character out of the main characters. I don't feel like I hear people talk enough about her. I really adore Perfuma. And she, ever since day one, she's like, someone who comes out of like kind of the new age philosophies, and you can like tie her to like hippies and stuff like that, but she tries probably harder than everybody in this show to keep things together for herself and for others. What I love is she tries to keep that temperament, but you can tell like her temper is like fighting her, and I really appreciate that as someone who has issues with their temper and trying to keep at peace. And what she says to like Scorpia and how they relate to each other, and also that scene between her and Catra, I think is really strong. Where Catra starts the scene kind of trying to dig at her, being a bitch, because that's all she knows. And she just has this wonderful speech she tells her about, and even to this person who's been nothing but terrible to her, offering to help her. And I really enjoy Perfume a lot, because she had to do a lot of heavy lifting during the fighting and all this stuff, because the best friend squad was in space taking care of what they needed to do, and some of the big guns were taken out through halfway of the season, and so she had to do a lot. And God love her, she's really great in this season.
So yeah, like I said, she also really plays off of Scorpia really well. And I was like, I know they're trying to hint something, so I'm already on board for this ship. Sign me up, Captain.
Yeah. I was actually more surprised as an item than I was of Entrapta and Hordak. Everyone wet themselves about that, and I was like, no, that kind of makes sense. And then Perfume and Scorpia started talking. It's like, oh yeah, I hadn't thought of that. That's interesting. Although I gotta say, Scorpia's friendship with Swiftwind was absolutely perfect, and I wish we had a little bit more between the two of them. That was an absolute wonderful pairing.
Also, who gets Seahawk? Seahawk gets all the points.
Oh man, Seahawk was he's the best. Yeah, that guy just comes through in a fight.
He's very much like if Han Solo and Jack Sparrow fused.
And unfortunately, we don't get too much Mermista in this season, because she's taken out kind of halfway through.
I do like how he manages Seahawk managed by annoying her. I love how
that's a nice twist on the trope of getting someone out of a brainwash, where you're like, hey, don't you love me? Remember that time we did this great thing? And it's for her remember that time I irritated the shit out of you?
And he's just getting the shit beat out of him the whole time. And then he's just like, I love you, but I can take it. And even remember that whole one of the princesses said, dude, stay down.
And also I want to get to Glimmer and Bow.
Oh yeah.
Man, Glimmer was terrific. Actually, she had a lot more story stuff to do in season 4, which I thought she was just ruled at. And geez, Bo is always there. He's probably the most dependable character in this series. You need something done, you get that guy. Yeah, I enjoyed her and Catra kind of creating a bond after their civil war, really. Last season, I think a lot of interesting stuff was done with Glimmer in the last 2 seasons, because I think partly quite a bit of character arc for Adora was kind of done the first couple of seasons, and more or less, pretty formed person. So it was nice that the series wisely spread, character building around, which to me suggests this show was very well planned from beginning, from the first day. Let's see, what did you think about Glimmer? And
I like
Catra?
that dynamic between the two. It was a nice kind of way of them looking, because season 4, Catra and Glimmer did some really Glimmer Horde Prime showed up. And I like how they took the first few episodes of the season to take a hard look at each other, at each other and themselves. But yeah, it was really, I thought it was nicely done, and also I love that dinner scene with Horde Prime of just hey, Look what I'm
Oh,
like. I love that whole scene of him where he's just like, "This is what I'm going to do to your planet." Like it was a such a subtle way of saying you can't stop me.
yeah, you're talking about with the food. God, that was so subtly chilling. Oh
Gordon
man.
Prime was a very like nice end villain. Like he could play like you could see him fighting Superman.
Yeah, well, he almost has a dark side quality to him. Dark side, who I generally use as the benchmark for this type of villain. Um, like he's the prime example, frankly, of how you do like these big giant cosmic dictators. Like they're just gonna come and kind of mess up your shit, and that's you're just gonna have to like deal with it because it's gonna happen. And that's the challenge of our heroes to
Yeah.
stop them, and because like no, this is this is just how it's gonna be. I'm gonna come to your planet and destroy it,
Yeah.
and that's that.
Real quick,
Um,
when we were doing that final scene between Horde Prime and She-Ra, did you get vibes from Age of Ultron, that Ultron and Vision?
oh yeah, I had not thought of that. That's interesting. Um, that's an interesting comparison. But frankly, no, I didn't think of that until you just mentioned that. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I was just like, I was watching the scene, I was like, I feel like I've seen this before.
And I'm glad we had like a definitive like death on the villain on that, where she just blows his spirit out of Hordak. Um, and I don't, man, he was just chilling, and there's just Stevenson's inspiration for Hordak was out of cults and religious extremism, which to me always is frightening and always chilling, and it's used so well in this. And I know the go-to for fascism is like Nazi stuff, but let's see, I just think that kind of like cult mentality is terrifying, because you can't talk to people who believe that their leader is God and that everything they do is godly and correct and just. And they're all clones of him, and they're all excited at the possibility of being him, and like he knows it, like he's just so almost bored with his superiority.
Let's not. I'm not going to point exact fingers, but we all know who Stevenson was really pointing the finger at without mentioning it.
Oh yes, correct. Yes. So yeah, it's a really good take on this type of villain, and it's unique enough to have its own personality. So it was really good. It's a really strong.
Yeah,
he was worth
and
the wait.
plus he's also like it's better than a giant metal fist.
Much better than the giant metal fist that goes, "Oh, you dummy, Hordak!
Yeah.
Go do the thing."
I will say, like, if we're going to talk about characters I wish had more screen time outside of the Horde trio, I wish we got more Double Trouble.
Yeah, although Double Trouble was nicely placed, because I didn't expect to see them pop up when they did. And it makes sense for Double Trouble to kind of join on this, because it's like, hey, coming to destroy the whole planet, I might as well help on this one. It's in my self-interest.
Yeah, it's literally that moment of.
That this
It's
planet
literally
still
that
exists.
moment of. I'm one of the idiots who live on this planet.
Yeah. So yeah, that was nicely done. I like the fact that Double Trouble was trying their best to stay out of it. Like, let me just do my own thing. But that world for them was just shrinking more and more. And that club scene, when you realize a lot of them were already chipped, was kind of a creepy idea when you go back and think, like, going to that club to perform and kind of run it.
Yeah.
And you gotta be cool. I don't know. The comedy episodes, they do a really good job at, like, kind of like pulling the rug out from under you at the end, so I really did like that.
Now let me ask you this, and this is something I've had not just now. Let me state before we go any. I absolutely love that we had Catcher and Adora together finally. But here's something, and this is more of a dig at animation in general. No matter the relationship, it always seems like that's the end game. We never want to none of the writers really want to explore main characters in a relationship. The only one that really came close to that was Kim and Ron in the final season of Kim Possible. So, and I know people are going to say in the comments, but Catra and Adora were together the whole time. Yeah, not as an item though. Like this was them.
Not as a functioning couple.
Yeah. Well, you also had Steven and Connie, but like that wasn't a main focus though.
But,
like it wasn't like they.
And
yeah,
also
they did.
And also they're
damn it.
And also they're kids. They're not living together, like, you know, paying the rent and doing things together. It's like, no, they're like still kind of. Yeah, they're still developing a relationship. That's a problem in general for everything. Like, it's rare to see a couple as a couple in fiction.
I mean, yeah, we had Spinnerella and Natasha, but, like, you hardly see them. Like, even when they were married, like, that, oh, nope, Spinnerella's infected.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a classic problem. I can only, in like terms of geek culture, I can only name a few couples that are like ongoing. Like everything else is like, let's get to them to. I don't know. Writers seem to only understand how to get couples together, break them up, or kill one of them. That's really the only three options. So
and
people wonder. Reed and Sue Richards and are very rare.
This is why I'm so worried about Luz and Amity together.
I don't. It's so early in the game for that. They're both preteens. It's still the start of the series. So I don't know. I'm trying not to overthink it right now before I have more information.
Well, you saw that post Dana Terrence had of like, it was like, there's nothing heterosexual about this picture, and to which Dana said, no, there isn't.
Yeah, that made my jaw drop. But in the text, that's outside discussion of the series. Like I'm watching and waiting to see what they do. I don't want to get too far into this, but I think Amity is attracted to Luce. I think she's the instigator of the relationship. I think Luce is fascinated with Amity, but probably hasn't. I don't know if she's really thought about that yet.
It is like clear that Luz is at least bisexual.
It is, yeah. No, yeah. The library episode, I think, answered that. Where Amity's sister said something to her and she blushed at that. We've seen Luz fascinated with Amity, and because of Amity's diary entries, she is like really fascinated in Luz. I think what I'm trying to say is I think Amity is a little bit more aware of it right now.
But Luz isn't too far behind.
So I think it's like I don't think she understands her feelings yet. because I think Amity has been, from what we've seen, seems like she's been through a diary, kind of like working out the thoughts. So if we see anything between them, I would believe that Amity would instigate it, or like, hey, let's do this thing. Hey, let's go to the prom together. I don't, but it all like hangs on the fact that this is a Disney show, and Disney, despite the fact that it wants to be progressive and be supportive, it is really afraid to put its money.
Yeah, remember Alex Hirsch's middle finger at the end of the show, Gravity Falls, like when he had Derlin and Blubs together at the end.
Yeah. And I think the reason is not that they're like anti-gay or anything like that. I think they're just afraid of losing that money. Like, they don't want to, like, oh man, I don't want to piss off the Russians. We might make a few less million than we already do.
Yeah.
So
if they go ahead,
you know, they're bigger. They're too big of a company to be. They're too big of a company to be that cowardly.
Now I will say, like, I'm hoping that Amity and Luz get together and we have the relationship, because like that would be, excluding Lex from Gargoyles, who the creator Greg Weisman said Lex is gay. Luz and Amity would be the first animated same-sex couple in Disney.
In Disney, yeah. And circling back to She-Ra, what's so wonderful about the show is it's been able to be upfront about things, where it already has, in the course of the series, supporting characters that are same-sex couples. And it ends with our lead characters finally admitting their feelings for each other and getting together at the end, putting aside all their differences. That's a really strong part of the show. And it's, of course, built off, the works in kids animation in the West over the last few years, with Korra, Adventure Time, and Steven Universe.
Real Steven Universe really kicked open the door to allow that.
Yeah, and we can really chart by the progression of this, and it's really wonderful. So this show is able to be like kind of flag in the put your flag in the sand, I guess the expression is. Like, no, we're doing this, and this will be all the more powerful for future creators. And maybe Owl House can take advantage of that. Go, hey, look, Cartoon Network and DreamWorks and Nickelodeon did these things, and they're still standing. Disney, who owns everything, think you might be able to get away with this.
Yeah, just plant the rainbow flag down. Yeah. By the way, off topic real quick, the other day, I was just scrolling through my social media, and I found this hilariously funny, but it's poignant picture of what was it? Catra, Adora, Luz, Amity, and Ruby and Sapphire, in the pose for the Okinawa statue, with the flag. Yeah, it was all of them planting the gay pride flag.
Oh, the Iijima statue, right?
Yeah.
The flag of Iijima? Yeah, okay.
It was all of them trying them putting the flag together. Oh yeah, Korra and Asami were there too.
Yeah. I'll see if I can look that picture up. But yeah, hey, they helped lay the groundwork.
Yeah. Although, how long until? Let me ask you this, Manos. How long do you think until we get a openly trans animated character?
Oh, I don't know. That's hard. I mean, we're still fighting for lesbian characters, which is the easiest one, and that's still a fight. So I don't know. It's gonna be a minute. Because we also have to go, the way our stupid society works, we have to kind of go down the row. Like the easiest one we have to fight for, get that, then the next easiest, and so on and so forth. I don't know where a transgender character would lie in that. It might be a few years. Although, hey, I think gay marriage and the mainstreaming of LGBT culture, I feel like, came a lot faster this decade than I expected it.
Yeah.
So
I will say,
I might be surprised. At best, I'll give you an answer. at best in 5 years, at worst in 15 years.
yeah. Now, like when you're saying like we're fighting for lesbians, first off, that's so meme worthy. That's such a meme worthy clip. We're fighting for lesbians. But how long until you think we'll get a male gay character as the main focus?
I think that's a little easier to predict, frankly. I think probably within the next 5 years.
Yeah, like that's
if things go well. If things go well.
Yeah, that's going to be I think the first major hurdle is having a male lead character who is also gay, or at the very least bi, or at the very least bi.
Yeah, because our society resists that even stronger than it does gay men, and it's a tougher fight, and that's the more successful things like She-Ra that come along are going to be more beneficial for the other fights. So it's all in all great. This show is just like, I knew Stevenson was a great choice to do this She-Ra thing because I know I've read some of her comic work and I know what she's capable of as a creator, and I know this was well within her wheelhouse, and I had a feeling she would approach it on the LGBT spectrum, and she sure did.
I honest to God hope that she gets to work at Marvel, because I would love to see what she would do with X-Men or Runaways.
Yeah, well, shit, man. I've joked in the past that this show is the Wonder Woman cartoon I never got that I always wanted. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if she'll ever work for Marvel or DC, but I mean, of course, being a big Marvel and kind of sort of DC fan, I would really love to see what she would do with just about anybody. X-Men would be great. Wonder Woman would be great. I don't care. I
think her perfect one would be Runaways.
Runaways would be really great, and I think she would get a lot of mileage out of that. That's a good choice.
She'd kill it on a Loki book.
I hadn't even thought of that. But that would be cool.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anywhere else we can take this conversation? I'm not sure. Or else.
I will say though that it is like when we were talking about Owl House and the connection with She-Ra, is that it's also it's funny in a cosmic sort of way because Noel's wife is one of the head writers for Owl House.
Oh, she is. I actually didn't know that. Well, that's helpful. We'll see about that then.
She's like Dana Terrence's right-hand woman in the writing staff.
Really? I gotta look at the credits. I only know one of two names. I know some of the backgrounds are done by Steven Sugar.
Yeah.
He works on the show. So, I don't know. It's just... maybe we can talk about Owl House more in depth. We have the new episodes premiering, so we can start talking about that.
I'm down for a whole season 1 review.
Yeah. Do you want to do that? We can talk about season 1 once
Absolutely.
they wrap up. Okay, cool. We'll do that. Now the Steven universe is over and She-Ra is over, I really don't have any new cartoons. So I guess it's time to shift focus on some other shows. And yeah, I definitely want to talk about Owl House. Probably maybe do something about Amphibia. I have watched the first 2 seasons of Kipo, and I adore that show, and I want to start talking about that. Have you seen Kipo? I don't think I've heard you
I've been.
talk
It's
about
one
it.
of those I've been meaning to watch it. I also like. You should check out Beastars, and that's. I know it's an anime, but like it really has some great themes in there that shared with She-Ra.
That's cool. I recommend Kipo in the Age of Wonder Beasts a lot. I think it's great. There's a lot of creative energy in it, and it's one of those shows that's so good it feels like it's showing off. Like they do this cool thing. It's like, well, they can't top that, and then they top it, and it's like, damn, I didn't think they'd do that. That's a really great show. Kipo is voiced by same voice actress who plays Glimmer, by the way. It's a really good voice cast on that series. So, all right, if you hadn't seen She-Ra, this was a spoiler cast. Probably shouldn't have listened to this, but we really enjoyed this show. We loved it.
As for the animation industry.
It. Yeah. Really didn't talk about the animation, but the animation I thought was gorgeous. And this particular season I thought really looked strong. Looked like they didn't have any budgetary problems. It really was a beautiful, flawless season, frankly. I'm going to go on the record here. It's like one of the best seasons I've seen of a Western action animation series. I would put it up there with like the Cadmus season from Justice League and Book 2 of Avatar. It's just really good.
Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree.
Yep. Hey, that's a topic. Maybe I can talk about seasons of animated shows. If you in the comments want to hear me talk about that, I can do a ranking of like particular seasons of different shows.
Anything for content.
I'll be literally anything. I don't know what the hell to do. I don't know. Some people do YouTube videos of the stupidest things. Like, damn, I never would have thought that, and it's got 200,000 views on it.
You need to start a Let's Play, Manos.
Like
that's how you get subs.
Oh my god! All right, let me drag my Atari. Let me grab my Atari out and plug it in. We're gonna do Atari Circus.
Get ready, guys. We're ready for E.T.
You're gonna play through. All right. Okay. Well, hey, thank you, Mr. Multiverse, for joining me on the show, and enjoyed talking with you as always. And I'll have you back probably maybe next month. We'll talk about some other animated show. I'd like to continue doing discussion videos with you regarding animated series. Maybe we can talk about some other show. If not, at the very least, we'll talk about Owl House once it's done with its first season.
Absolutely.
And is there anything you want to plug while you're here?
Nothing at the moment. I got nothing except go to Vlaire and follow me there.
Yes, because you have a Vlaire channel. Vlaire is the other YouTube. You can definitely check him out there. He's one of the more successful guys on Vlaire, so make him more successful. And watch him there if you miss him. If you're going, hey, where is he? I don't see him on YouTube anymore. No, go to Vlaire, and there he is.
I am one of the new gods of Vlaire.
Pretty cool. That's not a bad deal. All right. Anyway, I'm going to get going. If you want to follow me, you can, of course, hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can support The Real Manos and Manos Publishing at patreon.com. And I guess I'll talk to you later.
All right.